My name is Adamou, and we are effectively a venture capital fund that is focused on blockchain enablement. We are, just going back, we are based in Toronto. We're in the process of going public right now. We're going to begin trading in April of this year on the TSX Venture Exchange. And we're excited to basically bring access to the most innovative blockchain technologies in the world to public shareholders. I've been around for a long time, as my kind of introduction stated there, and we've seen it all. I kind of like to think of ourselves as skeptical blockchain investors. We love the technology, we love the opportunity, but we believe, as with any new technology, that the opportunities are hard to find. They need to be due diligence. You need to do a lot of research to understand both the business models and the new business models that are emerging from the deployment of the technologies. So we go back to the things that we have always understood to be true about investing. One is, we like to own equity. We love coins. We think that there's a future for that, but fundamentally we believe that the long-term value, the greatest long-term value in the deployment of blockchain technologies will accrue to equities rather than coins. We think both will succeed. We just believe that one is going to succeed more than the other. We focus as investors in strong fundamentals. So we're looking at businesses here that are operating, that have customers, that have had funding in the past, that have launched their product and that have technology. And we will research that technology to understand it from an operating perspective. And then, to the extent that an ICO or a deployment of blockchain technology makes sense for that particular company in that particular industry, we fund the deployment of blockchain technology by that company. And then we receive some tokens in the ICO for optionality. So we invest in equity to fund the deployment of blockchain technology and then receive tokens for optionality. That's our upside. In the old days, we used to call those warrants or options. So we focus on maximizing the gain to our shareholders to fund the enablement and deployment of blockchain technologies. And then we minimize the risk by owning equity rather than coins in fundamentally strong businesses. So in our view, regardless of what happens to the blockchain cryptocurrency market, we still own shares in these strong emerging companies. Now, we can't take on the whole world at the same time. So we've decided to initiate our investment strategy on a platform basis. Our first platform that we're going to focus on in the next 12 months is the esports market. We believe that esports is the lowest hanging fruit for the deployment of blockchain technologies. It's an all-digital market filled with the type of users that are technology savvy and that are used to using digital currencies. And so our first investments are all, as of right now, in the esports market. And I'm going to use most of the rest of the time here in my speech to introduce one of our first investments, which is the leading esports betting site. And I'll get to that in a second. So let me just kind of summarize here. We believe, and always will believe, in discounted cash flow. Discounted cash flow and cash flow in general is the only path to sustainable long-term value accretion. And our view is that through the deployment of blockchain technologies, you can increase revenues, you can increase efficiency, you can improve automation, improve compliance, lower costs, lower your capital requirements, reduce error rates, and the security risk. And if you can do that, your discounted cash flow is higher. So to the extent that we are enabling companies to implement technologies that have that impact, our shareholders will gain. So with that said, let me pass the baton over here to Scott Burton, the CEO of Askcott Entertainment, and he's going to discuss his plans and the business that we're funding.
Thanks, Adam. As you said, my name is Scott Burton. I'm the CEO of Askcott Entertainment. We're a Vancouver-based software development company. We've been around since 2013 developing products for the online gambling space. In 2014, we shifted our focus entirely to esports. Since we did that, we've created the last two products you see there. The first one was esportspools.com. So we were the first and we're the largest daily fantasy site for esports. That site has registered over 200,000 users in 160 plus countries to date. The recent one we launched was ESP.bet. So that's our real money licensed betting operation. So we take wagers on professional esports events and tournaments. The marketing for that actually started March 1st, so just yesterday. And prior to that, just in the beta area, we had over 50,000 bets have been placed on that platform so far. So everything we have is up, running, and working, and you can go look at it right now. We are funded as well, so we're here to talk about our ICO, but our ICO isn't to build this platform, and it's not for survival, so we have cash, we have real money coming in, and we have some very good strategic groups involved. So one being the Ledger Group, who's going to help us through the ICO and blockchain process. The other one up there is called Bigcraft Holdings. They're the largest dedicated esports investment fund in the world. It was founded by a guy called Jens Hilgers. ESL you'll see there. Jens was the founder of the ESL, which is one of the biggest esports leagues in the world. We have CEO Fnatic, one of the largest esports organizations in the world. Chairman of Amaya, the Stars Group, which owns Poker Stars. So we have a very good connection of blockchain, esports, and traditional gambling. So this is why in 2014 we chose esports. Nobody was doing it. We were in the traditional sports market, but we saw what was happening in terms of the next generation and what they were doing, and they weren't watching sports. They're watching Twitch. So what they're doing is watching other people play video games, as much or more so than people are consuming sports content. So we thought that the popularity of sports would transfer over to esports. So we did some testing, and it turned out we were right. So now we can see that in the next 3 years, esports betting is going to be a $30 billion business. And right now, there's nobody that's leading that space. And we think we've designed the platform that can actually take down most of the market. And so how are we going to do that? Well, when we started out building it, one, we did a consumer product because nobody was doing esports betting. But we always knew that in the betting world, liquidity wins. So if you look at Betfair, the biggest betting exchange in the world, nobody knows who number 2 or 3 is because everybody's on Betfair. That's where all the liquidity is. They don't have better technology, they just have more people betting there. So we tried to determine how could we be the biggest pool of liquidity in esports betting. So we built a platform that's ready to be networked. So we're the first 2 customers on it, so we know the platform is working because we built ESP.bet on it, and we built esportspools.com on it. So we spent the last 5 years building that out. We put in $4 million to date. And what we do with that platform is now allow existing communities of esports people. So it could be a blog, it could be a forum, it could be a streamer or a YouTuber who has a large audience but isn't monetizing as well as they once did because ad revenues for everybody is declining. Mostly because these users are using ad block and things like that. So they're not seeing the ads, so people aren't paying them for that. So we'll let them embed betting into their site and we'll do all the work behind the scenes. I'm going to skip a few just because of timing. We're already licensed, so we've got the platform built, so the technology risk is gone. We've got the licenses, so the licensing risk is gone. So now we're in a growth stage and acquiring more partners. So the first 2 licenses we have is the Isle of Man and Curacao. So it also shows that we've been through some of the toughest regulations, and we've gotten through that. So our software's been tested over and over again, so we know that works. We're going to be adding more licenses this year, so Malta being one in the UK. So at that point, we'll have pretty much global coverage for the whole world in terms of betting and being allowed to take bets. This is how the network's going to work. So you see up top is this global liquidity network. So the way that works is every one of these sites is bringing users to us is putting their money into a big pool, so a big pot. And so instead of one site being able to generate maybe $10,000 of a prize pool, you put them all together and we could have $1 million prize pools. So now we have all the people in the system and we have the biggest prize pool. So that's where the people are going to want to be, and our partners don't want to leave that network. So after that, we provide the first token that we have, which is an identity token. So this isn't the token we're selling, this is a single token that every user will have unique to them. And this allows us to do a lot of the regulatory stuff. So with the licenses we have the ability to sub-license to an unlimited number of domains. So So you can see sub-licensee 1, 2, 3, we could have sub-licensee 3,000. So when a user comes into our network for the very first time, they'll go through our registration process. So they'll come to us, they won't leave the site, they won't know they're coming to us, but behind the scenes they're coming to us. We'll issue them a token. To that token, we're going to attach the KYC, which is the age, identity, and location verification. We'll attach their favorite payment methods. We'll track every single transaction they do. We'll know if they move, all of that. So that has to be auditable and verifiable, and it can't change. Some of the information will change, like if they relocate, but things like birth date cannot change. And different people in our network are going to need to see different parts of that, so that's where the transparency comes in and the security. So a gambling commission will come to us with an ID number, and they'll have to see a full history of bets for that person, and if they moved, and if we have their documentation, we can give that to them. Our partner sites are going to want to know how much traffic they've given us and how much money they're getting back, because this is where the money comes in. So what we do is, with that pooled liquidity, 70% of everything we bring into the pot and profit goes back to our partners. So they'll get paid to come onto they're coming onto the network for free, and they're getting paid 70% of the revenue that they bring to the pot. And then the token that we're using, and the one that will be part of the ICO, is our B2B token. So we don't want any additional friction for the user, so we're not creating a token that the user has to buy with Ethereum or Bitcoin and then put into a wallet, then put onto our site. You know, the KYC and the deposit are the two biggest barriers, and we want to take that away. So they can deposit with crypto. We're the first ones licensed in the Alabama to take crypto as a currency, as well as virtual goods. So they can use fiat, they can use their guns and knives from Counter-Strike, they can use whatever they want, and that's the way we want it. So in addition to paying our partner sites the 70% of the revenue that comes in, they're actually going to be getting paid tokens to be a host. And so we'll be creating a set inflation amount every month that's going to be distributed to those partners again to be in the network, and that'll be proportionate to what they're bringing in as well. And then what we have is the users coming into the system. So again, we don't want to spend $100 million on marketing our own site. We want to help them. They've already got the people and the brand, the recognition. We want to leverage that to bring more people in. So when those end users place a bet, they can place it anywhere in the system because we've already got their identity token. So if they're betting on their favorite streamer site today and they jump to their favorite content site tomorrow, they just plug in their ID. We already verified them, so we don't do that again. And their money shows up. So instead of having to deposit in 5 different sites where you want to place bets, you just do it once. So that removes a ton of friction in the whole network. Then we have to get rid of some of those tokens to create the scarcity and increase the value because we're generating tokens every month. So what happens is tokens actually get burned out of the system every month. And so the real simple way to explain it, I mean, it's fairly complicated, but basically you can think of a deposit of €1 equals 1 token to start, and that equals 1 game credit. So somebody deposits €10, they get 10 game credits in the system. As they bet those €10, the game credits disappear and tokens are getting burned. So that when the tokens get burned more and more, the value goes up. So everybody's incentivized by the same thing. Get more people in the network, and we're giving people reasons not to leave the network because they're getting paid cash, they're getting paid in tokens, and we're going to do one other thing that will come in the next slide. First, why would you choose us? There's a lot of esports ICOs out there because it is a hot space. You combine those two things and it becomes a very hot space. So one, I would encourage you to look at all those ones and see what they've got built, see what the team they have, see if they've got capital already, and what the concept is, and then kind of come back and revisit what we're doing and talk to us. Because we're, like I said, we're already a proven business, we've got VC backing, so we have the funds. The product's built, we're ready to go. We put the blockchain in, and then we're just doing scale. So all of this is about scale for us. So everything we're raising right now is to scale up what we're doing. We've already got people signing up to the platform. So the first one's an esports community with over 6.5 million registered users. We're talking to 3 government lottery corporations right now, as well as a number of incumbent gambling companies that want to get into esports. Another thing about it is the token price is directly tied to what's going on in the platform. So that's what we want. We want activity to increase the value of the token. And then the last is we can offer this pooled liquidity network. We can get to be the largest pool of liquidity in esports faster than anybody else can today because we're doing it this way. And then we're giving the sites a new revenue model. So what we're doing with the funds, so we're going to be raising $25 million. The white paper's due out at the end of April. So since we're funded, not a lot of that is coming to us for continued development, and we still have money in the bank. So 80% of what we're bringing in is going to be pushed out to our partners for marketing. So they already have communities, they've got users, we want to help them grow. So now our sales proposition becomes join our network for free. We're going to give you 70% of all the money that comes in every month. We're going to pay you tokens that go up in value as activity goes up, and we're going to pay for your marketing. So it's a pretty easy sell at that point, and we're already seeing that. So I think we're a bit over time. If you do want more information, I'm up there. If you'd like to invest on the equity side, Ledger Group's the people you want to talk to because they're an equity investor of ours in the public fund. And on the ICO side, you can just wait for the white paper and talk to either of us today. Thank you.
Thank you. So just as an aside, so here we've got our other major investment right now is in a company that is an esports content provider, and they generate about 60 million views on their host of websites every month. And what we've done is we've made a strategic investment in that side as well, because those guys will benefit tremendously by using this platform. So effectively, at no cost to our other investment, by introducing them to this platform, they can monetize those 60 million users at no cost to them, plus receive marketing money from the ICO over here. And we ran the numbers on that, and simply by plugging into this network, they will double their revenue in the first year at no cost. So that's going to go to the bottom line. And fundamentally, what we believe as long-time venture capital investors is that generating cash flow, that's where I started, is much more important than any other factor when you're running a business. So we've designed the ICO, as we were working on it together, to create a system whereby everybody that participates in it can get access to incremental revenue that can drop to their bottom line. And when we do that well, people will find this and people will use it. And what we want to see happen at the end of the day is that for no other betting platform to need to exist. It doesn't need to exist because at no cost to anybody that wants to accept bets, they can plug into this system and get 70% of the revenues. There is no need for them to get a license. There is no need for them to know their client. There is no need for them to run their software. What they do is they have the users, they can buy the token, they can monetize them, and they can begin receiving cash, fiat currency, plus tokens every month. And that is, I think, what we're looking for in blockchain enablement. And those are the models that are going to take over the world.